Hello, I'm Rebecca Flaherty and welcome to my brand new Pattern Maker Canvas series, where we'll be exploring 6 bold modern folk art floral templates, all made using the diamond method. Over the series, I'll show you how to create everything from trailing florals to symmetrical designs and playful motif layouts. Plus, you can mix and match all the interchangeable floral and critter stamp motifs to make your designs completely your own. This is an intermediate to advanced series and builds on some techniques that I've covered in beginner videos before, so if you're new to this way of making patterns and you need something a bit easier, you should check those out first. I know those of you who love this way of making patterns are going to have so much fun with this series, and I can't wait to see your creations. Today we're starting with a gorgeous trailing floral pattern. I'll guide you step by step using the diamond method, and I'll show you how to get your stems flowing perfectly across the page. Don't forget there's a free colour palette in the Pattern Maker's Toolkit, and all the floral stamp brushes come with a set in my Etsy store. So let's get started. So let's bring our canvas into Procreate. I'm going to start in the gallery screen and go to Import, up on my folder, and I'll bring in Canvas 1. And the first thing you'll see is this layer here, and saving it with this layer on top instead of showing this really does help to reduce the file size. I did a test with this file here and saved it with this showing, and then saved a copy with that showing, and it reduces the file size by about 34%. It would reduce it even more if I didn't have that text on there and it was just all white. But I found when I've set files up like this in the past and had all of that hidden and just the white background showing, I would get confused Etsy messages every now and then asking why the file was blank. So I thought I'd try doing it this way so that it's obvious what's going on and we still get to reduce the file size enough to put it on Etsy and download it directly from Etsy, because you can only upload a maximum of 20 megabytes per file size there. So that's why it's like this, and you can delete this layer or hide it or turn it back on when you save. If you want to reduce file size on your iPad, you can save files with like that or a white layer as well. It's a good hack if you want to save space on your iPad. The only downside is that you won't have the thumbnail preview in files, which is what is making the extra data on there. So just make sure that you name your files properly, otherwise you'll have a whole gallery of white thumbnails called untitled artwork and you will not know what is what. So do what you like with this layer, delete it or hide it, is up to you. I'm gonna delete this one. So I'm going to jump straight in and start stamping my motifs. I'm going to work in the sketch folder on this Draw Here First layer. I'm using the Folk Art Florals set that comes with this. I'm going to delete that brush because you don't need that one and that won't be in the set. And I'm going to grab this one, which is the B brush, and I'll grab this. And I'm just going to stamp one of these into each of these big circles. And as I mentioned in the introduction, this is an advanced tutorial. I'm going to assume that you've followed other tutorials like this before, so I'm just going to kind of whiz through this. So I'm just going to select these and spin them round with snapping off. So I've stamped them into the middle of the circles, and then I'm just going to turn them around and line them up like that. And obviously you can use absolutely any floral stamps you like for this. You can draw your own freehand ones in there, make your own floral stamps. The choice is yours, and these are absolutely customizable any way you want to. So once we've got those on, I'm gonna then do these smaller ones in there. I'm just going to stamp one into each one, and then I'll use the select tool to spin them round so that they're all facing the right direction. Apologies if my voice is sounding a little off today. I've been filming all week and I'm also coming down with something. So we've got a combination of sore throat from speaking too much this week and I'm getting a bit sick, but it's half term next week. This is the end of October as I'm filming this, and I really want to get all this stuff done before I have family home for the week, so I am battling on through it. There we go, that's all of those in. So what we need to do now is put these around the edge. To be honest, you probably could skip this step because everything is neatly fitted in with the circles, but we'll just do it anyway because why not. So I've flattened all of that down, the motifs down with the sketch diamond. I've duplicated it, tap transform, put snapping and magnetics on, and we'll snap one down into this corner, making sure you've got the orange lines there, and then up there, and then we do these two as well. Then the top four you pinch together, invert the colours, and then when we do this we know where everything is as we're making it, and it's just the orange flowers that we draw and the black stems. So once you're at this stage we can go and start drawing these out. So let's turn on the pattern folder, and I'm gonna turn down the opacity on this and change the blend mode to multiply so that we can see underneath it. I find for these I prefer having the sketch layer on top and then working underneath, especially when there's line details to add on top of motifs. So I'm just gonna change the blend mode on that to multiply as well. Turn the opacity down slightly. With these templates there's always a good place to start, and for this one I'm going to draw this line in first, then I can put it down here and merge this one in with it. So I'm going to start here to here and draw that nice curve in first, kind of make it as big as I can. Just get that first curve in there. And with these flowers, even though the stems are going to end at this point and be behind this bit, I'm going to still go from the middle of the flower just to get that nice curve in there. So once you have that one in, you can put a mark going off each of the corners, duplicate this layer, tap transform, and we're going to snap it down into this corner. Making sure you've got those orange lines there. Then go back down to the layer underneath, and then we can put this one in. And then merge it in with that. Same with this one. And then you can just work around tracing in the rest of these stems now. Once all of the stems are drawn in, we're then going to do the leaves, and I'm going to do these on the same layer as the stems for this pattern. So I'm just going to draw that shape is what I'm choosing to draw. You could do the same shape as I've got in here, so you could trace exactly over these, or you could make them kind of wiggly ones. Whatever you choose to do, kind of stick within the bounds of the shapes and everything will line up nicely. So I'm just going to go around and do that for all of these now. Then you can use colour drop to fill all of these in, or you could try this trick. Duplicate this layer, go up to adjustments, put a Gaussian blur of 2% on, tap select, go to automatic and set your threshold to, just tap off that one again, set your threshold by tapping in any of the negative space, set it to about 80%. Then tap invert, add a layer and tap fill. Then you can delete this blurred layer underneath, and you can then merge that in with your line work underneath. That method doesn't work perfectly every time, especially if you don't necessarily draw like to full thickness, like if you've got bits in where you haven't pressed like completely hard like that. But it can be a quicker way of filling motifs in, and you don't get that kind of little halo that you get around the edges sometimes like that. So that's the thing you might want to try when you're doing fills in Procreate. Right, let's do these bits up here now. So I'm going to add a layer, and over all of these I'm going to trace in this bottom kind of bit on the petal, on the flower shapes there. So I'm going to go and do those on all of them, and then on the layer underneath, once I have all of those in, I'm going to grab the eraser and I'm just going to erase it back down like that, so we've got nice neat edges on there. I'll just do this one as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of those on this layer now. Once you've done all that, you can then merge those two together, and all of that is now on one layer. You can also get rid of this extra bit that we've duplicated down there. So we should now just have this one layer with all the leaves and stems and these end bits on them. Let's have a look at how we're going to illustrate this flower now. So I'm going to add a layer and I'm going to use this pink here to do in these nice petals first. These have got lovely, nice, smooth curving shapes on them. Then again, you can either fill these with colour drop or you can use this trick, duplicate, go to Gaussian blur, 2%, tap select, automatic in the negative space, and my threshold is still 80% from last time. Invert, add a layer, fill that, and then delete the blurred layer underneath, and then merge those two together. Then I'm going to add a layer above that and use this orangey red colour to do some lines on the petals like this. Then I'm going to add another layer and I'm going to use the colour shifter dot, set it to about the same size as that. And I'm going to tap on the secondary colour and use this peachy colour for that. And then stamp one of those on each of these. And if I hide the sketch, you can see you get like varying shades of that colour there. It'll switch between these two. So then I'm going to go and repeat that for all of the different flowers on this layer, doing each of these bits on separate layers. So I've grouped all of those in a separate group, and we'll add a layer now and we'll work on these ones. So I'm going to do this middle part in yellow. Make sure I've got the right brush. I'm going to draw that and hold, and then just fill that in. Then we'll add a layer and we'll do those in this orange colour. Then add one more layer and we'll do these dots, and I'll grab the colour shifter dot, and I think I'll switch between pink and yellow for these. And one more layer, I think I might have said one more layer a second ago, but one more layer, and then we'll use this light peachy colour to do a couple of little lines on the flower like that. And then as before, we're just going to repeat all of those on each of those separate layers for all of these smaller motifs. Then we'll group those parts together, and it's just a few little dotty details we're going to add now. So I'm going to add a layer and I'm going to grab the colour shifter dot and I'm going to make it quite small, maybe not that small, something like that. And I'm going to use the lightest and the darkest colour of these three green ones. And I think I'll turn the sketch off now and maybe make the background colour this one here. And I'm just going to use this, make sure I'm on a new layer for this. Yep, that's empty. And I'm just going to use this to add a few little dotty details around like random leaves here. Actually, maybe I do want the sketch layer on because I do need to know if it's going too close to anything, but I will turn the opacity down on this. And maybe that one as well. So I'm just going to do these random little dots just curving around some of the leaves there. And this is just like a stylistic choice thing. You can add kind of your own personal touch to this pattern in any way that you like. I mean, you can copy this if you want. You could maybe do like be inspired by those lines, and you might want to do something like little stitch marks around the edges of the flowers and the leaves. Absolutely anything goes here, and you can customize these however you like. So I'm not going to do it around every single leaf, just here and there as a little extra touch. Then I'm going to add one more layer, make the colour shifter brush a little bit bigger. Set the colour to yellow and pink, and I'm just going to add a few more pretty little dots just to fill in the extra spaces here. And again, this is just my stylistic choice because I love pretty coloured dots everywhere, but you can either copy it or not copy it, add your own little quirks to your pattern as you feel inspired. So once you're at this stage, we're then ready to build out the pattern. So I'm going to turn the sketch off. I am going to close down the pattern group and I'm going to turn the background colour off. Swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all, come up to the top here, swipe down again and paste. Then you can put the background colour on and you can close these layers underneath because that's going to make it a lot easier for snapping this more accurately. We've already got those corner marks there. If you don't have those still, make sure you put those on now. Duplicate, tap transform, and then we're going to build this out the same way that we did with our sketch group, like we do for every single pattern that we make. Making sure that you've got orange lines there and that you know it's snapping into place. If you find when you build your pattern tile out that you've got some motifs on the edges that aren't lined up, this is the stage you'd need to come back to. But for now, we'll pinch those top 4 together. We'll erase those marks in the middle. Just get rid of those. Get rid of those as well. Then you can pinch those together and you can see how this is looking in repeat. Swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all. Then swipe down again and paste. Add a layer underneath, fill it with this, and I'll just invert the colour so there's something different underneath. Tap transform, snap that up into the middle there, duplicate and bring this over there, and then we can just check motifs there are lining up. And I've just spotted there that I didn't do that one properly, so I will go back and fix that now. So I've gone back and fixed that bit. That's why it's always good to do this little pattern test, because when you zoom in you do see things that you might have missed otherwise. So we're back at this stage now. I'm gonna paste that back in. Bring this one up here again, 1800 pixels. Snap that one over there. That's looking much better now. Duplicate and bring that one down there. Just check this seam. Pinch those together. And that is our finished pattern. Why not try swapping out a dark or light background? Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to share your modern folk art motif creations in the community tab. I'm so excited to see all of your designs. Don't forget you can grab the templates and stamp brushes from my Etsy store, and there's a free colour palette in the Pattern Maker's Toolkit. The Pattern Maker's Toolkit is a creative space for your pattern making journey, filled with brushes, palettes and resources to follow along and stay inspired. It's free to join, and the monthly email is the only place to get your hands on the free stamp brush sets to follow along with the cozy colouring time lapses this year. You'll also get 10% off all the premium templates in my Etsy store, early access to some YouTube tutorials, plus all the free brushes, palettes, templates and mock-ups in the resource library. Think of it as your monthly dose of colour, fun and pattern making chaos. If you'd like to join, just follow the link in the description. That's all from me this week. Have fun, stay creative, and I will see you soon.